You're exhausted. Different day, same reaction. You reach, they pull away, you try harder, the distance grows. Chase the job, miss the opportunity, chase the relationship, watch it dissolve, chase the dream, feel it slip through your fingers like water. There's a pattern here. You've felt it. The tighter you grip, the faster things escape. The more you want, the less you receive. The harder you push, the more resistance you meet. This isn't failure. This is feedback. The universe is whispering something you haven't wanted to hear. You're doing it backward. Everything you've been taught, go after what you want, never give up, fight for it, has left you depleted, anxious, feeling like you're always one step behind where you should be. But what if there's another way? What if the ancient Stoics understood something we've forgotten? What if the secret isn't in the chase at all, but in the stop? What if everything meant for you is already moving toward you, and your desperate pursuit is actually blocking its path? Today, we're dismantling the lie of the chase. We're exploring a truth the Stoics lived by. Don't chase, attract. What belongs to you will simply find you. Not through passivity, not through wishful thinking, through becoming. Drop "I choose to become" in the comments if you're committed to this journey. Let's begin. Think about the last time you really wanted something. I mean, really wanted it. Maybe it was someone's attention, a promotion, recognition, love, approval from someone who mattered. Remember how it felt in your body? That tightness in your chest, the mental loops playing on repeat, the calculations. If I do this, maybe they'll... The checking, the waiting, the hoping. You became smaller, didn't you? You started performing, editing yourself, saying what you thought they wanted to hear, showing up where you thought they'd notice. This is the chase mentality, and it's exhausting because it requires you to abandon yourself in pursuit of something outside you. You've probably chased jobs, sending application after application, feeling your worth shrink with every rejection. You've chased relationships, texting first, always available, wondering why you feel more anxious than loved. You've chased validation, posting, performing, curating a version of yourself that might finally be enough. And here's what nobody tells you. The chase always leaves you empty. Even when you catch what you're chasing, it doesn't feel the way you imagined. The job comes with stress you didn't anticipate. The relationship requires you to maintain the performance that won it. The validation evaporates the moment you stop producing. Because anything built on pursuit is built on lack. You chased because you believed you weren't enough without it. You pursued because somewhere deep down you accepted the story that you're incomplete. That happiness, peace, love, success. These things exist out there, and your job is to hunt them down. This is the trap. This is what keeps millions of people running in circles, accumulating achievements and relationships that never quite fill the void. The Stoics saw this clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." He understood that when you place your peace in external outcomes, you surrender your power entirely. So, let's go deeper. Let's look at what this chase is really costing you. The hidden cost of chasing isn't just exhaustion, it's who you become in the process. When you operate from a place of lack, you emit a very specific energy. Desperation, need, scarcity, and people feel it. Opportunities sense it. The universe responds to it. Have you ever noticed how when you desperately need something, it eludes you? But when you're content, when you're grounded in yourself, things seem to flow toward you effortlessly. This isn't coincidence. It's energetic law, When you chase, you're broadcasting, "I'm not enough. I need this to be complete. I'm empty without it." And ironically, that very frequency repels what you're seeking. Think about it. Are you attracted to desperate energy? When someone needs your approval, clings to your validation, can't exist without your attention, does that draw you in, or does it push you away? Of course it pushes you away, because desperation and neediness repel naturally. They signal imbalance, insecurity. Avoid trying to use you as a filler. Now flip it. Think about the people who've captivated you, the ones you wanted to be around. They weren't chasing you, were they? They were complete within themselves, confident, grounded. They had something you wanted to experience, not because they needed you to see it, but because it simply was. That's magnetic. That's attraction. But here's where it gets painful. Every moment you spend chasing, you're moving further from that magnetic state. You're training yourself to believe that your value comes from external acquisition. You're conditioning yourself to live in anxiety rather than peace. The Stoics called this assigning your happiness to things outside your control. Epictetus taught that true freedom comes only when you stop depending on external circumstances for your inner state. And yet we live in a world that glorifies the chase. Hustle harder. Never give up. Persistence pays off. But persistence in the wrong direction doesn't pay off. It just deepens the wound. Because here's the brutal truth. The things you chase with desperation are already telling you they don't belong to you. Not because you're unworthy, but because you're chasing from unworthiness. The job that requires you to beg isn't your job. The person who needs convincing isn't your person. The opportunity that demands you shrink isn't your opportunity. What belongs to you won't require the chase. Let's sit with the paradox for a moment. The more you want something, the more you push it away. The tighter you hold, the faster it slips away. The harder you try to control the outcome, the more chaos you create. This contradicts everything you've been taught, doesn't it? We're raised to believe that success is a formula. Want it badly enough, work hard enough, sacrifice enough, and you'll get it. But life doesn't work that way. Nature doesn't work that way. There's a river flowing. When you try to grab the water, it escapes through your fingers. But when you cup your hands gently and let the water come to you, your hands fill effortlessly. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius observed, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He recognized that resistance often signals misalignment, not a call to push harder. You're not meant to force doors open. You're meant to become someone for whom doors open naturally. But we've lost this wisdom. We've confused effort with force. We think surrender means giving up. We've been conditioned to believe that if we're not doing something, we're failing. So we chase harder, we optimize, we strategize, we manipulate, we perform. And we wonder why we feel so disconnected from ourselves. Here's what happens in the chase. You fragment. Part of you is here, in this moment. Part of you is in the future you're trying to create. Part of you is analyzing the past, trying to figure out where you went wrong. You're scattered across timelines, never fully present, never fully whole. And in that fragmentation, you lose your power. Because real power, the kind the Stoics spoke of, comes from presence. From being so rooted in who you are that external outcomes don't shake you. From cultivating such deep inner peace that you become a magnet for what aligns with your truth. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." He understood that poverty isn't about what you lack externally. It's about the insatiable craving that never lets you rest. The chase creates perpetual poverty. No matter what you acquire, it's never enough. The goalpost moves, the void remains. But what if you stopped running? What if you turned around and faced yourself? That's where the solution lives. Here's the shift. Instead of chasing what you want, become what attracts it. This isn't semantic play. This is a fundamental reorientation of how you move through the world. The Stoics called it focusing on what's within your control. You can't control whether someone loves you, but you can control whether you cultivate love within yourself. You can't control whether you get the job, but you can control whether you develop the skills, character, and confidence of someone who deserves it. You can't control outcomes, but you can control who you become. And who you become determines what you attract. Think about this. When you're desperate for love, you attract people who take advantage of that desperation. When you're grounded in self-love, you attract people who respect and cherish you. When you're scrambling for opportunities, you accept scraps. When you're confident in your value, opportunities that honor that value find you. This is the law of attraction, but not the watered-down version you've heard. This isn't about vision boards and wishful thinking. This is about energetic alignment. You become a vibrational match for what you want by embodying the state you'd be in if you already had it. Stay with me here. If you had the relationship you're chasing, how would you feel? Loved, secure, peaceful, whole. So the question isn't, how do I get that person to love me? The question is, how do I cultivate love, security, peace, and wholeness within myself right now? If you had the success you're pursuing, how would you show up? Confident, purposeful, grounded, creative. So the real work isn't chasing that external marker of success. It's becoming the version of yourself who is already confident, purposeful, grounded, and creative. Do you see the shift? You stop waiting for external circumstances to change your internal state. You change your internal state, and external circumstances respond. Epictetus taught, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." This is the foundation. You start from gratitude, from fullness, from already enough. Not because you're settling, not because you're giving up on your desires, but because you recognize that everything you're chasing externally, you can cultivate internally. And when you do, you stop chasing, you start attracting. The ancient wisdom is simple. What you seek is seeking you. But it can only find you when you stop running, when you plant yourself firmly in who you are, and let the universe bring what belongs to you. Now let's talk about how this actually works in practice. Becoming instead of chasing requires 3 fundamental shifts. First, release attachment to specific outcomes. This doesn't mean you stop wanting things. It means you stop tying your worth and peace to whether you get them. The Stoics practiced something called amor fati, love of fate. Whatever happens, you embrace it, not with passive resignation, but with trust that everything serves your growth. When you release attachment, you free yourself from the anxiety of control. You do your best, you show up fully, and then you trust. You plant seeds, but you don't dig them up every day to check if they're growing. This creates space. Space for things to unfold naturally. Space for unexpected opportunities. Space for the universe to work in ways your limited perspective can't imagine. Second, cultivate your inner state relentlessly. This is where the real work happens. If you want to attract peace, you must become peaceful. If you want to attract love, you must embody love. If you want to attract abundance, you must shift from scarcity to gratitude. How do you do this? You start with awareness. Notice when you're operating from lack. Notice the stories you tell yourself. I'm not enough. I need this to be happy. Nothing ever works out for me. Those stories create your reality, not because the universe is punishing you, but because your beliefs shape your energy, and your energy shapes what you attract. So you rewrite the stories. You practice gratitude daily, not as a performance, but as a genuine acknowledgement of what you already have. You meditate, you move your body, you create, you serve. You do things that fill you up from the inside. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals, not for publication, but for himself. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. He practiced this daily. So must you. Third, trust the process and timing. This is the hardest part for most people. We want what we want, and we want it now. But nature has its own rhythm. Seeds don't become trees overnight. Wounds don't heal instantly. Relationships don't deepen in a day. When you trust the process, you stop forcing, you stop manipulating, you stop trying to make things happen on your timeline. You recognize that delays aren't denials. Closed doors aren't rejections. Waiting isn't wasting. Sometimes what you think you want isn't what you need. Sometimes the universe is preparing you. Sometimes better opportunities are being arranged. Lao Tzu taught, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." This is the essence of trust. You release your limited understanding of how things should unfold, and you allow yourself to be guided toward what's truly meant for you. This doesn't mean you become passive. You still take action, but your action comes from inspiration and alignment, not from desperation and force. You become someone worth finding, and then you let yourself be found. That's the attraction mindset. That's how you stop chasing and start living. So what does life look like when you stop chasing and start attracting? It looks like freedom. You wake up without the weight of needing to prove yourself. You move through your day with presence instead of anxiety. You engage with people authentically instead of strategically. You stop checking your phone obsessively, waiting for validation. You stop calculating your worth based on external metrics. You stop performing. Instead, you create because creation brings you joy. You connect because connection feels genuine. You pursue growth because becoming better feels aligned with who you are. The relationships that stay are the ones that honor you. The opportunities that arrive are the ones that match your values. The success you experience feels earned, not stolen, peaceful, not anxious. This isn't some mystical state reserved for enlightened monks. This is available to you right now through practice. Every time you choose peace over control, you're practicing. Every time you release attachment to an outcome, you're practicing. Every time you return to gratitude instead of lack, you're practicing. And slowly, imperceptibly at first, your energy shifts. You become lighter, more magnetic, more yourself. People notice. They're drawn to you, not because you need them, but because you don't. You've become someone who's whole on their own, and that wholeness is irresistible. Opportunities appear, not because you force them, but because you're finally ready to receive them. Your energy says yes to abundance instead of please to scraps. Rumi wrote, "What you seek is seeking you." But he could have added, "And it will find you the moment you stop hiding in the chase." Because that's what the chase really is. Hiding. Hiding from the work of becoming. Hiding from the discomfort of sitting with yourself. Hiding from the vulnerability of being enough without external validation. When you stop chasing, you stop hiding. You stand fully in who you are. Imperfect, growing, human. Enough. And from that place you don't need to attract anything. You simply allow what's already yours to find you. The Stoics lived this way. They focused on virtue, wisdom, and inner peace, not because they didn't want external success, but because they knew external success without internal foundation is hollow. They understood that the greatest achievement isn't acquiring, it's becoming. So become someone you're proud of. Become someone aligned with truth. Become someone who doesn't need to chase because you're already home within yourself. Do that and watch how effortlessly life begins to flow. Watch how the right people, opportunities and experiences find their way to you. Not through magic, through alignment. You've been running for so long, maybe it's time to stop. Not because you're giving up, because you're finally waking up. The chase was never the answer. It was just a distraction from the real work, becoming who you're meant to be. What belongs to you won't make you beg, won't make you smaller, won't require you to abandon yourself. What belongs to you will recognize you. It will meet you where you are. It will feel like finally instead of maybe. But you have to stop running first. You have to plant yourself in your truth and let the universe do its work. This is Stoic wisdom distilled. Control what you can control. Your character, your response, your inner state. Release what you can't. Outcomes, other people, timing. Trust that you're exactly where you need to be. Trust that what's meant for you is already on its way. Trust that by becoming your highest self, you're creating the conditions for everything aligned with that self to arrive. You don't need to chase love. Become loving. You don't need to chase success. Become excellent. You don't need to chase peace. Become present. Do the inner work. Cultivate yourself. Trust the process. And then, with quiet confidence, watch as what truly belongs to you simply finds you. Not because you begged for it, because you were ready. That's the way. If you're choosing to become instead of chase, let me know in the comments. Type, I attract, I don't chase. Don't forget to subscribe to The Stoic Mode and turn on notifications. This journey of transformation is only beginning. Thank you for listening. Become magnetic.